Yes, please. Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna have a seat, okay?
This will be nice and easy. What we have is a couple guys are running around the room, and anybody who's got a question, put your hand up. We got Davey right over here. Get Davey's attention, and just keep your hands up. Davey will make his way over to you, and we got a limited amount of time with Bruce, but we'll make the most of it. So just raise your hand. We got the first question right here.
We got Brian over there as well.
Okay, all right. Who wants to go first? You want to go with this gentleman right here? Let's go first with this gentleman right here in the front row. What is your name and where are you from?
I'm Connor from Chicago.
Hey, Connor, how are you? What's your question for Bruce?
How did you feel when Paul told you that they were doing the reunion tour?
Man, that kid's coming in hard. Jesus. What the hell?
I know, for a young kid, that's an amazing question. Actually, the way it happened was both Gene and Paul told Eric Singer and myself that we were going to meet at Gene's guest house. This is before he turned it into a mansion, okay? It was a little more humble house in Beverly Hills, but I guess the reunion tour made it a mansion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then that's when they explained it to us, that because of Kiss Unplugged and Ace and Peter's, kind of joining us on stage, there were people throwing obscene amount of money at them, okay, to rejoin and do a tour. And I understood it, to be quite honest. I was sad because we were working on Carnival of Souls. I realized it was probably going to be the end of my career in the band because they would be very successful, which they were. But I know Eric had a real what? They can't do that. Peter won't be able to play well. They'll never get it together. You know what I mean? I remember his kind of feelings of it was very mixed, where I always used to say to some of my friends, well, at some point they'll put the makeup back on and then I won't be in the band anymore. So it wasn't, as much as it still was disappointing to me, because I did enjoy. I also wasn't asked to not be in the band because of talent or attitude. It was a business thing for them. And let's say they made $4 or $5 million in a year working with Eric Singer and myself at that time in the 90s. Here they were making $40 to $50 million in a year doing the reunion tour, of course, because it was that timing. The 20 years had gone by and, whatever. So we all know that I accepted it and I moved on, and I still been very successful, so there's no hard feelings about it. And because of people like you, I always feel a huge part of the KISS family.
After when you guys did the Unplugged, and there was this craze that followed with what's going to happen next. When you went to speak with Gene and Paul, and they told you, hey, this is what we're going to do, did you already feel like it was going in that direction?
Well, I knew that there was some things that were a little funny going on, but I couldn't tell. There was a hesitancy to go record Carnival of Souls. And I knew that the label was expecting us to record, but they were kind of making their plans. But to be quite honest, for me, I was just like, I'm the guitarist in the band. Gene and Paul actually were very fair with Eric and I because they paid us for an entire year. They didn't have to, okay? To help us. Besides the fact they realized things could fall apart in a very short amount of time, but it didn't, and I'm actually really, really proud of them that they were able to really heighten the band once again, and there was so much hype over the reunion, and they did very well with it, of course, as you all know. But I'm real proud of Eric when he needed to walk back in. Just to answer that question, why I'm not the Ace Frehley. Well, I wasn't asked, but to be quite honest, Tommy was there many times when Ace was not always getting along with them or acting very, the best way with them, and they weren't going to be, they were going to keep moving, So there was Tommy being the perfect understudy for Ace. As controversial as it was, all of a sudden it was like, get the outfit on and the makeup, and you're doing this with us. And then Ace just kind of told him, I'm not in the band anymore. Again, I'm not there to know all this, but I did know that Tommy just kind of slipped in. And it was a better decision than going to me, because they did want to continue the spaceman kind of vibe in the band. They weren't looking to revisit Crazy Nights and Revenge and stuff like that. So think about it, if it was me asked to do that, then I would have been, it was so much easier for Eric to assimilate rather. That's like a Borg, right? Star Trek. Right? Yeah. Next Generation or whatever. For Eric to, do the drum duties as Eric singer, you know, I mean, in Peter's outfit or the Catman. But the guitarist really needed to handle a lot of what, you know, Ace did in the band. That was very different from my era, as you all know. You know, I wasn't ever asked to really do Ace's solos note for note, and Tommy knew them all. I mean, he was in a tribute band and everything. And I think Tommy does a great job of it. Of course, he isn't the original guy, but I think he does it with a lot of respect for Ace. And certainly he's wearing the outfit and doing a lot of the kind of show things, you know. But imagine me, after my years, all of a sudden becoming the other guy from a completely different era. So I missed being in the band, and I was sad that I didn't have, you know, all that success through those years in KISS, but it would have been kind of really just almost closing the door or negating everything else I did, you know. So I certainly have kept my non-makeup years that I did for the band with all those albums and successes and tours and videos and all that very pure to me, you know, and that era I can claim and wave the flag as my own. So I hope you guys understand that.
Wow. What a way to kick things off. Note to self, don't ever let a kid in Chicago ask you a question. What's with the beer gut? Who's that, you fat ass? Oh, Jesus, man. God, first question. All right, so we got another question. Where are we going with the next question? Who's
okay.
Back
Hi,
in
Bruce. My name is Anthony. I'm from fellow New Yorker. What's
All
up?
right, Anthony.
I just want to say I'm a big fan of your era. It's the era that I grew up with Eric Carr, Eric
Same
Singer.
here.
So what I wanted to know is, well, Carnival of Souls is one of my favorite KISS albums. So before the reunion, if there were any plans at all, how far along were those plans for a Carnival of Souls tour? Was there a stage design? Do you have any venues booked, anything like that?
Actually, outside of a potential album cover, which you guys probably know looked like an exploding on fire head or something, there wasn't really talk. A lot of that stuff doesn't always happen while you're recording the record, okay? Although all the secret, all of a sudden Paul and Gene disappearing for 2 hours, you know, during the recording got me a little nervous, you know, and that's when they're taking a big important call, you know. I mean, by the time they told us what was happening, Paul was trying on the boots from the warehouse, you know, oh, it still fits. He was going, I'm going, yes it does, Paul, it's very, you know, I get it. But no, we never got to that point. And I'll be honest, now that we're talking about a Carnival of Souls, it was really interesting because once they went off the reunion tour, of course they couldn't put it out, okay? And back then, nobody, you know, somehow a copy leaked and it wasn't really quite the digital world that it is now. So bad copies got out there, generations down, and the sonics and the quality of it was terrible. I'm going, that doesn't, I don't remember it sounding like that. Someone would play me one of the bootlegs that got out. And then I was convinced, of course, from feeling bad, that it would never be released, you know. And I remember saying it to Paul, and Paul, I swear he told me, he said, like, it will come out, you know, just be patient. It's definitely coming out. Because I think he knew that there was no reason for it not to come out once that big reunion tour winded down. I know Ace and Peter weren't really happy about it, although, I mean, what kind of threat could that be? It was a record from a different band, you know, and that's why it was called The Final Sessions. It was kind of given that moniker later, okay, which does make sense, you know. So I was really relieved that it came out, and actually the single was Jungle, which is a song that I co-wrote with Paul, and I was very excited about that. And, you know, we did a little bit of promotion, a little bit of stuff. Eric didn't want to get involved, and I understood that. But, you know, that band didn't really exist anymore, you know, but it was kind of unusual to be, you know, even thinking about promoting or releasing a product that was a completely different sound, had nothing to do with that, you know, gigantic reunion tour. But of course, Cyclo Circus was to come. I was able to have a co-write. I even recorded some bass for them. So I always continued the connection with them even past this reunion tour, and still do, of course, with this exciting, all these expos, and then of course the KISS cruise. So it's been a long ride and an interesting one, but it's something I'm still, as you can tell, extremely proud of.
Wow.
Yeah,
Thanks for the question. Over here in the middle, over the left, what is your name and where are you from, sir?
My name is Eddie. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Knoxville.
All right, good town, good town. Were you at the expo when Gene did it?
No.
Okay, it was probably too expensive, I think, right? Were you at the one I did? It wasn't so expensive. I was there. Yeah, okay.
You can
I
see the
just moved
footage
there a couple
for
years ago.
$29.95 at KissAllMonica.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, you got to do it. You got
All right.
carte blanche. Go for it.
When you were talking about the phone calls going on, you're wondering where the phone calls are.
Yeah, you wanted
I
to
picture
jump
you
in.
walking in the room
Yeah.
like, okay, Ace, my son Nick, I gotta go.
Exactly.
What was it? Go ahead. What was your question?
Bruce, not too long ago, you went on tour down in Australia with 4x8.
Yes.
Doing with the Sister Dolls.
Yep. Sister's Doll. Yeah.
Sister's Doll.
Mhm.
And 4x8 opened up.
Yep.
How was that for you and playing with the guys in 4x8? And if the Kulick brothers end up doing a tour, would you consider bringing them with you again? How much fun would that be?
It would be fun. Look, those guys, first of all, you guys are going to hear 4x8 tonight, and then, of course, some of the guys are going to jam with Ace, actually. So I'm telling you what's happening soon, so don't go anywhere, okay? But besides the fact my brother and I playing with Todd and Brent and doing some of the cruise set for you guys. But the truth is, when I went over to Australia, it started with a big expo with Peter Criss as the guest and myself. And that was amazing. And then I knew I was going to go do some select gigs throughout the country, which was very exciting for me. I do love the international travel and the KISS fans in Australia. And 4x8 got invited to do the expo, and then they got invited to do that tour. I checked them out online. Of course, I knew about some of the members of the band, John and Todd and everything, and I knew they were great, Rob. I didn't know Pat, the guitarist, but we all became really tight very quickly on the bus and everything, and at the venues, and we became one big traveling, rock and roll show, of course, in many ways related to KISS in a big way. Sisters Doll are great young kids that I love working with. So it was a lot of fun. I really had a great time with those guys. It's great seeing them here, of course. What I could do with my brother and 4x8 or anything in the future, you guys should always know that unless you're really at the top of the game, like a Paul McCartney and they're really the biggest, it's very hard to pick and choose what your show should be and who you're really working with, because you have to be very powerful and have that headline sold out kind of status to ask who's going to be on your bill and make a package and all that. And I'm not at that level. Sadly, but because I would want to do stuff like that, because a band like that's a terrific group to tour with. So I couldn't tell you what's going to happen, with the crystal ball in the future. But the important thing is that all these bands like 4x8 and Sisters Doll, and of course when I work with my brother or anything I do professionally, is that I really love performing for you guys, and all those groups do as well, and it means a lot to them. And you guys supporting live music and coming out and coming to events like this is so vital, because nowadays, musicians struggle with selling their music, and it's so easy to just download the YouTube or just hear it on Spotify, which as much as Spotify is useful, it's still, the songwriters are not really making the money it made when you purchase the CDs and stuff like that. So all these events that all these artists that you enjoy doing, it's very important for you to come out and support it and see it live. It really means a lot to those artists, definitely. Thank you.
All right. Another question over here in the middle. What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Danny Sullivan. I'm from St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Good town, good town.
Not only am I a fan of your era with KISS, I'm also a huge Union fan. And I was
All right.
kind of wondering if there was ever any chance, any new Union music coming about.
Cool. It's cool of you to ask. Brent is here, Brent Fitz, and I love playing with him. Of course, some little-known guitar player named Slash likes to use him, and then also a slightly famous bass player who's one of the biggest guys in the business named Gene Simmons is using him lately.
From KISS.
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry.
So Brent's been super busy. John Corabi went off like a rocket with his, Dead Daisies, and you've seen them on tour, and they go everywhere. And Jamie does gigs in bands in LA. It's been really hard to imagine how I'd even put together the four of us, but it is something I'm not losing sight of, and I do appreciate if any of you guys out there have always heard some things about Union or a fan like that saying how much they enjoyed the band. Very easy to listen to the music, support it, find it. I offer one of the records on my website. The other one's kind of out of print, actually. But it's really a great band that I'm very proud of. But I couldn't tell you what's going to happen in the future. But it's stuff I'm very proud of.
What is the website?
And my website's still, I have an announcement about my website. It's still kulick.net, Kulick.net. But very soon, and it's only because it's been a crazy year, you guys have all known. I've been very busy, and then of course, Bob and I, we suffered losing our mom, recently, a month ago. But honestly, I have a new website that's coming. This is a great story. On an interview, I once mentioned, well, I don't own BruceKulick.com. One of those people that's, buy the names,
And just
bought
sit
it.
on it.
Yeah, and then this guy in Norway, for no reason than being a fan and being in business and being successful, an IT guy, he all of a sudden emails me and goes like, I bought BruceKulick.com. And I go, who are you? You know what I mean? And why do I believe you or not believe you? And then he proved it to me, I actually got a chance. I was so happy last year. I got to see him in Norway, thank him personally. He actually did hand me the keys, free, okay, for BruceKulick.com.
Wow.
So what's happening? I've been working with a really, isn't that a great story? That's wonderful.
Norwegians are
Now,
nice.
I do have to add, a person like that's Norwegian or whatever, contacting whoever owned it and said, I want to buy BruceKulick.com. What are they going to tell them? They're not going to tell them a huge figure, but Bruce Kulick would be, contacting BruceKulick.com, and Omer, he's going to go, okay, I want, $50,000 or something ridiculous. So it was still really a great thing that he did. I really appreciate what he did. And I've been working since the beginning of the year with a guy who's really great with websites. He's someone that worked on, a lot of guitar sites and stuff. And we've been setting up a simpler dashboard version. And every time I'm supposed to talk to him, something else comes up that takes me away. But we're really close. And once that's launched, everything you guys have ever seen on my website, because I've done very in-depth reviews of albums and tours and things, will still be archived on that site. You'll still have a link to it. But eventually, I'm glad you answered the question, it's going to be BruceKulick.com. In fact, anybody that bought BK3 red vinyl today, you'll see on the back, it will say, visit BruceKulick.com. Don't go there yet, okay? You're not going to find it, okay? But it's coming very soon, and I'm moving everything over to that, okay?
There's actually a CraigGas.com, and it's a realtor. And,
oh my God.
And sadly, he's funnier than me.
Oh, come on.
Motherfucker. All right, so we got in the middle, next question over here. What is your name? Where are you from?
Jeff from Kansas.
All right, what's up, Jeff? What's your question for Bruce?
Bruce, what is the most valuable advice or lesson you learned from each of the bandmates in KISS?
I got to go through the four of them? Yikes. Okay. Well, look, certainly from Paul Stanley, I learned so much about how to photograph, how to perform and not look like a tree, okay? And
Did he say you look like a tree?
No, but I used to get goofed on as Spruce Goose. Spruce Bruce, rather, like the Spruce Goose, okay? The famous Howard Hughes thing. Anyway, that's because I wanted to play the guitar right, and then Gene and Paul are running around the stage like cockroaches, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm in KISS, trying to play the guitar right. Anyway, but Paul was the consummate, kind of like showman who really, he helped choose just how I would present myself the best. And I really followed his direction. And in life, you should all learn that when someone is really at the top of their game and they're willing to share those kind of tips with you, listen, okay? Don't say, yeah, and it goes right through your head. Own it, learn it, okay? Gene clearly was always about business, and I do admire him for that. And I remember once I was complaining about my wireless that wasn't working in the opening act. Bon Jovi had brand new wirelesses. And he just ripped he ripped my head off verbally when I complained to him because, it's like, I get it, what I should have said instead of presenting it as like, why does the opening act from New Jersey or nobody have brand new equipment? You know what I mean? I should have said, Gene, my wireless isn't working and it's hard for me to play professionally. Can we fix that? You see what I'm saying? So, because he looked at it like,
Competition.
They spend the money where they know they need to spend the money, but the fact that I made it sound, I whined about it, is not professional. So with business, don't be emotional. You present it in a smart business way so he can respond, yeah, I don't want my guitar player to lose his wireless in the middle of the show. That doesn't present a professional thing. You see what I mean? But I did it in a whiny way, okay? Wrong, okay? So I learned that from Gene. Business, you gotta be non-emotional, be very, very direct with it, okay? Now, both Erics have always been the comical relief of the band, okay? Eric Carr was the big jokester, okay? Gene couldn't go to the bathroom without toilet paper going over the stall, it was like that. And Eric Singer, as you know, winds everybody up in a very funny way. He's very talented at that, as we all know, right? So from all of them, I learned that it is good to have some comedy, Craig.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we love people like this, you know what I mean?
I do got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you say that Gene was great with advice, and it was usually about business, before you met the love of your life, did Gene ever give you advice about women?
Well, you got to remember there was the like whenever he realized he should marry Shannon version of marriage, and then all of a sudden I don't know what happened. There was a switch that clicked, and he realized this is wrong. I need to be married, and you know he became married. You know, so yeah, anyone that was around him back in the '80s would have gotten some comment, you know, regarding that. And you know, I've always been, even though I didn't always make the right choices, and now I have with my wife Lisa. But you know, certainly I thought, you know, having a partner and being married and settled down was going to be a good thing for me. You know, and when you have the right person, I swear to you, it's the right thing and it's a good thing for you. But if you're, you know, if you just do it because you're just attracted to the woman, it's not a great thing. But when you know you found someone who's your best friend, you should marry him.
With Gene being the most macho, you know, his personality from the 80s. When that whole Me Too movement came out, I expected like a commercial with Gene in front of like a bank of operators. Did you go to a KISS concert between 1974 and last Friday? Call us right now. I'll help you sue KISS, and I'm in KISS. I'll make money off it. You know, whatever. But he always had advice that was always, and he always had a philosophy that was, he just had a great sense of humor about everything that he approached.
And I gotta tell you, with all those women that he always knew and hung out with, he treated, it didn't matter if they were a 10, like a playmate, or they were maybe a 6, or a ton. He treated them very, very much like a lovely lady. I always saw him kind to women, always. Even though he's flirting and having fun, and maybe having a lot of fun, if you know what I mean. But he was always really sweet with the girls, always, always. That's why I'm always shocked when I hear something negative, always shocked.
Over here on this side of the room, we have a question. What is your name? Where are you from?
I'm Jenna, and I'm from Michigan.
Hey, Jenna. What is your question?
It's great to meet you, and
Thank you.
I've always wondered, is there a certain memory that always comes to you from any of the concerts you played with KISS?
Well, there were a lot of concerts, okay, but I mean, certainly one of them, you know, there's two that always kind of really iconic for me. One would be, if you grew up in New York, like I did, and it being such a great place to see bands, especially during the 60s and 70s with the British invasion, you know, Madison Square Garden was like the place, okay? And imagine the fact that I was gonna perform in a rock group such as famous as KISS, being the lead guitar player. That was incredible for me, okay? And I know even Ace talks about that. Oh, Madison Square Garden. You know, yeah, and he's right. And you have to understand that if you're a New Yorker, you are the king of the world if you have you know, your band is performing at Madison Square Garden. And the other one that was huge is I always had a fascination with England, you know, because of all the great artists that came from there. And to play one of those huge festivals like Donington, okay, which I don't even think exists anymore, but there's still a lot of those big metal festivals. And David Lee Roth was on the bill, and Guns N' Roses was a brand new band that caused a real stir at that one. Iron Maiden, us, and to play for over 100,000 people. There's good video of that, I think, on YouTube and stuff. That was really amazing, just amazing. And I can't tell you what that feels like adrenaline-wise, you know. I mean, I love playing for 1,000 people, but you got 100,000 people out there. It's just like, oh my God, you know, I mean, this is amazing. So those really stand out.
We're winding down.
Yeah, winding down.
Yeah, winding down. We got just a couple minutes left. We have somebody over here on the left side of the room. What is your name? Where are you from?
Sean from Louisville, Kentucky.
All right.
All right. And you know what we did in Louisville? I think we did the video to Thrills in the Night or something like that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
In Louisville. Wow.
I think so.
That's a great one.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't play on it, but I did the video for the guys. They don't show that one that much. You know, concert video kind of, right?
Right.
But that's the funny one. One other thing about that is the funny one where we did try a theme and we were all dressed up like kind of in suits and weird outfits. I had like a doctor thing on. It didn't work though. It didn't work. All right, yeah, go ahead.
Well, besides the Thrills in the Night video, what would you consider your professional like the highlight of your professional career with KISS, or a personal highlight with your career in KISS?
Well, you know, I'll say it more musically, okay? And I'll give you one musical one and one performance one. Okay, here we go. Here's the performance one first, because chronologically it's right. My shower scene in Tears Are Falling. Now, far be it from me to imagine as a young boy growing up in Brooklyn that, you know, as a young man with long flowing hair would be in the shower, you know, going back and forth like, you know, it's like I'm doing a shampoo commercial or something, you know. And I had my guitar on, you know, it was very weird, okay. The next video, they threw me in the water backwards, and I, of course, you know, came out of it, you know. But, and professionally, I mean, there's a lot of songs that I love what I did musically, but I have to admit, and I take it so seriously, and I still don't see anybody play it right. I don't know why, but it's not that hard, at least not to me, is the acoustic guitar solo in Forever, okay? Just super proud of it, yeah, thank you.
All right, we have time for one last question. What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Chuck. I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Good town.
Bruce, KISS is my favorite band, but my other favorite band is The Knack. What was it like working with Doug Feiger on your solo record?
So he's making a reference to Doug, who performed a song called Dirty Girl on BK3. First of all, I always was a big fan of that album, you know, My Sharon and a couple of Good Girls Don't. I knew he was like a Beatle nut, so am I. And then I met a lot of artists, and you know, Gene and Paul have done, and Eric and Tommy, they've all been involved in the rock and roll fantasy camp, okay? And apparently, Doug was a counselor one year. I didn't realize until we got to talk a little bit that he was dealing with an old problem. He had lung cancer many years ago, and then he started to get like some problems with some tumor near his brain or something. But he was in remission, and he was working and doing things. And then I wanted guests on my album. He was naturally one that I wanted to ask. And he did the track. I went to his house. It was wonderful to meet him, see his Beatle collection. He had amazing guitars and everything. Wow. And because of him, I met Ringo Starr, which is a thrill of my life. Because Ringo, apparently they were all AA, him, Ringo, Joe Walsh, and Jeff Lynne, and they all showed up at his memorial in his home with all the Beatles stuff there. I'm with Lisa. We only knew each other about a year, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm gonna pee in my pants, Lisa. Ringo Starr just walked in the house. You know what I mean? I was like out of my mind, and I did get to talk to him for a minute, talked about KISS a little bit. So Doug, I mean, at first they asked everybody they had the memorial at his home, and they said take his ashes and put it in his garden. He had a beautiful home out in the West Valley in LA, and I was like, I don't want to do that, Lisa. As soon as Ringo walked in, I said, I'm taking the ashes and putting it in the, you know, in his garden in the back. I'll do whatever he says. He just gave me the thrill of a life. But it's a wonderful track, great performance by him, and it was a real thrill to meet him. Yes.
Well, Bruce, thanks for your time. Everybody here loves you, and everybody was excited to talk to you. One more time for the great Bruce Kulick.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy. That was awesome. Absolutely awesome. They're not booing, they're saying Bruce.